Hey guys, today we're going to be taking the bones out of a chicken, leaving it with like one big nice piece of chicken that eats like a steak. The only thing, it's going to have that little Statler breast, so with that bone attached, and a nice beautifully deboned thigh. This is how we start. First we're going to take off these wings and remove the bones out of these legs. The first cut is going to be incision into that joint on either side. Next, we're going to cut around the top of the bone, getting all the tendons. And I'll show you why in a second. Once these tendons are cut, all you got to do is twist, and those bones are just going to pop right out. We're next going to just pop these wings right off. Boom. You can save these for a stock. Well, everything should be saved for a stock, but these can be saved for a stock or, fried for football season. Go Patriots. Next, we're going to remove the wishbone. It sits right here, forms that little pocket. In order to do so, we're going to cut through just the skin so we can see what we're dealing with. Very lightly, just want to go down that spine. Now we got a better view at it, where you can actually feel the bone. So once you identify it, you want to get to the outside of it and just cut straight down. Same with that other side. Feel the outside, use the point of your knife, and let that bone guide you. Once that's cut, just literally pull it right out. You can dry that off, make a wish later on. Wish I had a new job. Next, we're going to finish cutting that skin. There's a spine that runs on either side, spine that cuts in between either side of these breasts. We're going to cut right to either side of it, getting all the meat we can, exposing as much of the bone as possible. Slowly make an incision tight to that bone. Now you can actually see we cut right through. Make sure we go all the way down, getting all that meat possible. From here, make some very light, faint cuts. And you can see where that bone structure, it's kind of like a wing, sits. You want to take your knife and cut right along there, keeping as much meat as possible. And the same goes for here. This bone actually dips in on the side, so when you go to cut, make sure you get up in there. Like that. You want to do the same for the other side. Cutting straight down, hugging that bone as much as possible. You can use your fingers at this point and just expose it. Just like that. The meat will tear off a little bit. You don't want to go pulling it, then you're going to rip. From here, it's the same thing. Just follow that bone structure. A couple of light, faint cuts, just exposing it. And like I said, it dips in on the side. Get in there to get all that meat. And you can see there's tendons holding these tender loins attached to the bone. Give those a quick snip. Make life a little easier for you. Now we're going to take the skin off these legs, off this cavity. If you'll notice, there's a line that runs right here. It tells you where it wants to get cut. Just follow it. Down, up, straight through. Same for this side. Follow the line. Starting about halfway to the thigh, cutting in, straight down. Now that everything's exposed, we're going to pop these bones like so, right out of the sockets. We have the chicken nice and exposed. We can make our final cuts now and remove this piece out of the chicken. Find that socket, cut your knife down and at an angle in, straight down. On the other side, you find that socket, cutting in at an angle, straight down. In order to keep this wing attached, make sure you tuck it in on the other side when you're cutting. Find that tendon, cut straight through it, all the way across. across. Same thing on that side. You want to find that bone, making sure that wing is tucked in, cut into it, straight across. From here, we're going to take the bone out of this side of the thigh. You have that piece of fat that runs sort of, perpendicular to that bone. We're going to find it. We're going to cut right alongside it. See there, we got right into the bone. Do the same for the other side. Find it. Just drag your knife down into it. Once you have most of that bone exposed, take your fingers and just kind of pinch through with the point of your knife under that bone, cutting up through. Make sure you get all that cartilage, some of that bone at the end of there. From here, kind of like a stick shift, you want to hold it up, taking your knife, scrape down the bone, exposing as much as possible. This part's going to be really tricky, but using some faint cuts along this socket and bone and gravity, we're going to get all of this out in one shot. So as you're cutting, you're going to expose more of that joint. You want to make sure we hug right up to it. And as you're cutting, you're going to feel what's left. And that is the one pin bone, which then slides right out. From here, kind of tuck it all back together. Tuck that thigh meat back in. We're going to flip it over, remove some of this excess garbage, junk, some fat, and your chicken's going to be done. Just pull the skin tight over it. Just remove those tendons. And like we said earlier, let's just cut that fat cap right off. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Your chicken.